What's up, everybody? It's your boy Greg. I'm back with another video. Today's video is going to be about how to enter the trade. Like, what type of entry trader are you? And there's three different types of entry forms, and that's aggressive entry, conservative entry, and the break of a candle. So I'm just going to go over all three and give a live example of how all three will look. So boom, based off the first one, aggressive entry. Aggressive entry is when price is moving very fast and price is volatile, and you really don't care or want to wait for any type of confirmation that we're going to keep going in this direction. And so you just enter the trade whenever price taps your zone. And so for example of this one, this actually happened today. Boom, this was our level of demand right here. If I hit the replay, boom, I hit this replay, press play here. Boom, you can see price starts to form. We get this demand zone formed here, break a structure, and boom, it. If I had to pause it and go back some, but based off this candle, you can see here we got this breaker structure. So only thing we're waiting for now is price to pull back into our zone. If I slow this down some, we get this next bullish candle, and then this next candle, boom, which is this one. This would be our aggressive entry. And so if I slow it down even more and I go play back, let's see if it shows like the full candle happening in real time. So this next candle form, once we would have got this tap, it happened so fast you really couldn't really even see it. You would have entered this trade somewhere within this area, just not waiting for any type of confirmation and aiming for whatever your risk reward is. So aggressive entry would be you entering the trade as soon as it taps your zone without waiting for confirmation that you want to go higher. So let's say, boom, as soon as it tapped the zone, you got your entry here. Boom, stop loss here above this level, and you aiming for whatever you aiming for. And then if we press play, you just see how the trade plays out. But it just depends on whatever your risk to reward is. But as you can see, boom, we got this aggressive entry based off this candle, and we broke, or depending on what you would aim for, is if your TP would have hit or not. So that is an aggressive entry. As soon as the candle that hits and pulls back to your zone, if you get in on that candle, that is an aggressive entry. When it comes to a conservative entry, conservative is when you have your pullback to your zone, and you're waiting to see how price closes inside of your zone. So for example, we can just give here off this level of supply that was formed. Boom, this was a level of supply that was formed. We got this entry here. We got this pullback into our zone. As you can see, start breaking this structure. Make this low, pull back to make this lower high. Lower high was made, price pullback, closed into our zone. It didn't disrespect our zone. So since we pulled back into our zone, we would have entered this trade here. Boom, entry would have been here. Stop loss above this level. And then we just wait to see how it plays out. But if I go back to the replay mode, based off here, it's moving too fast. All right, boom, we press and play. We waiting for a pullback to tap in our zone. We got that bullish candle closure. Then we get this bearish candle closure. We enter the trade based off price coming out of our zone. This is a conservative entry. Once we get a tap in our zone, and price starts pulling back out of our zone, we enter the trade, and then we just wait to see how it plays out. Let me speed this up some. Then boom, you see it took its time consolidating this range, but eventually TP did hit, as you can see. So conservative entry is when price pulls back into your zone and you're just waiting for price to break out of it. Once it starts pulling back out, like how this red candle right here did, this green candle here was our pullback candle, and this red candle was our entry candle when it started pulling back out of the zone that we formed. Once it pulled back out of our zone, we enter the trade like how we did here, and we just let it play out. Boom. So that's a conservative entry. The last type of entry would be break of the candle. And so let's see if I can find a live example here. This could be one. This could be one right here. So boom, we got this level of demand here. And so normally a break of a candle entry would be like when price comes back into your zone and it goes deep into your zone. So when price comes deep into my zone, we want to wait and see like if it's going to validate and break through, or if it's going to start pushing back up. But for this example, break of the candle would be when the candle, your pullback candle that came into the zone, you would enter your trade based off when it breaks above, when price starts pushing above this red candle here. So in this instant, we would enter this trade here based off this red candle. We would have entered the trade based off this green candle, because this is the candle that broke the high of the bearish candle that was in our zone. Stop loss would be under here, and we aim for our 2-to-1 or whatever highs we aiming for. So just giving that live example. Boom, we making higher highs, higher lows. We in the uptrend. Waiting for price to pull back to our zone. It's moving too fast. Slow it down some. Waiting for price to pull back into our zone. Boom, we get this pullback. We're deep into our zone. Price came close to invalidating our zone, but we want to see price still hold our zone. So boom, now we waiting to see if price is going to continue up. And then as soon as this candle formed and broke this red candle here, that's break of the candle, we would have entered the trade here. Where this green and red meets, that is your entry point. Whenever you put in this toolbar, or when you're trading, stop loss would have been under this level. But if I move it back some, try to slow it down even more. Boom, we got this bearish candle. Now we're waiting to see if price is going to hold this on and continue going up. We got this first one. Second candle finna form soon. Boom, second candle is starting to form. Happened so fast. Second candle was starting to form. Slow it down one more time. We want to see it break above this red candle here to get into our entry. And as soon as it does that, that's when you enter the trade. That is a break of the candle type trade. But it happened so fast, like it's not going to show it how it would in like real time, because this is playback from previous price action that's happened. But as soon as this breaks this candle here, or even it could be this candle here, it just depends on the type of trader and which candle you would like to use. Me personally, I'm using this red bearish candle that came in selling off into my zone. I want to see it break that. Once I see it break that, that gives me some type of confirmation we're going to continue to go higher, which we did. And boom, TP would have smashed. We would have targeted this high or whatever high you want to aim for. Very simple. So those are the 3 different type of entries when it comes to trading supply and demand. Aggressive entry is when price comes back and taps your zone, and that whatever candle taps your zone, you're entering off that candle. That is aggressive entry. Conservative is when price comes back to your zone, and then the next candle that forms out of your zone and it pushes out of your zone in the direction that you want to go in, whether you're in buys or sells, that is a conservative entry. You're waiting for a confirmation that price is pulling out of your zone. That's conservative. I probably spelled that wrong on here. I forgot that is. My fault, y'all. Don't talk about me. Conservative. And then the last one, break of the candle, like we gave an example. Candle that's digging into your zone. You want to see price break above that candle. Once it breaks above that candle, you enter the trade, put your stop loss, take profit, boom. So these are your 3 different type of entries when it comes to trading supply and demand: aggressive, conservative, and break of the candle. Thank y'all.